so abstract. Yeah, it's complicated what you say, the way you act. Well, it makes me so confused. I don't know what to do anymore. Can you just make up your mind? My heart drops when you play around. How can you be up when I'm down? Don't wanna think about it right now. Maybe you just wanna be friends. There is a fight when we are talking. Maybe you just wanna pretend, but I can read between the lines. Even if I can't deny that all the things you said are hurting. Still wanna be with you. I think you want it too. 'Cause baby, I don't wanna be.
Hi, hello everyone. I hope you can hear me and the sound is good. Last time I was here live, we had a snafu with that, but let me know if there's any problems. Hi, I'm Therese from Lost in Paper, if you don't know me, and my presentation was up today and I created 2 wedding cards. That was the theme, but obviously the cards I make could be used for any occasion, and they were floral gatefold cards with a twist, and the twist was the way that the gatefold card closed. Did anyone guess what that was? Because it has been around for a while and I can't remember where I first saw it, but I'd never closed a gatefold card this way ever before. But first I want to start with the elephant in the room. I'm so sorry that I said the wrong cut size on the very first cut in the video. The directions are correct in the worksheet. So if you haven't downloaded the worksheet, make sure that you do that because that's got all the correct cuts. But basically it's just an A4 sheet cut in half. So I think I said it, cut it at 4 1/4. I should have said cut it at 5 1/2. And in the Australian measurements, half of an A4 sheet is cut at 14.9 centimetres. Well, I shouldn't just say Australian. It's like metric or international A4 size. So if you've got any questions, let me know. Oh, here we go. Hi, Tracy. How long does it take for you to do all the die cutting? Well, that's obviously depending on how many cards I'm going to make, but I do share a couple of tips in the video on how to make it a bit quicker. So I made a stack of flowers. Let me show you my cards. So I made a stack of flowers here. So and I don't even think I used them all on my cards, but the good thing is I can come back and use them. But I find if I make more than I need, then I hate having to go back and make extra. But the actual die cutting, I've got an electric die cutting machine, so that makes it a little bit easier on the wrist. And I cut multiple colors on sheets at a time. And if you've watched the video, you'll see how I do that. But I would say it probably took about, 5 or 8 minutes in total. Really didn't take that long. It takes me longer to choose colors, which is one of the questions that I did have, is how I choose my color scheme. So if you're interested, I was just going to have a quick talk about that. Indy was asking me in the Facebook group, thank you, how I choose my color schemes. And there's a few different ways, but basically I will look at, sometimes I've been doing a bit on my YouTube channel lately about design and how I'm inspired, and I did a couple of videos on packaging. So look at packaging, maybe look at, also look at advertising, at just pick your favorite colors. Sometimes I just hold the cardstocks beside each other and just, it makes me happy. But if you're really lost, just head to Pinterest. It is full of inspiration, and just get inspired there. Now, do you want me to, I'll show you too how the mechanism works, because typically on the gatefold card, if you don't know what, it's a fun fold. So if you don't know what a gatefold card is, it's basically, it's a card that opens up as a gate, like a double gate would. So normally you would close it like with a ribbon or some twine, maybe a bow or a belly band. I did mention belly band. I just wanted to show you that you could use, say, a piece of vellum. I've just got a piece of copy paper here to give you an idea. And you can wrap it round wherever you want on your card design. Like, so say on this one, you'd probably put it below the sentiment. And then you'd create a couple of folds. This is 1.5 inches wide. You can make it as wide or as thin as you want. And then you can just fold it around and adhere it at the back. You only need it usually about 9 inches long for an A2 card. And then you would the people would slide that off, and that way it keeps the card together. But today's video, I shared this technique. I don't know. Has everyone seen the video yet? If you haven't, make sure you watch it because it's really fun. Just to see how this works. It's actually a second die cut of the flower that's on the front. And you basically just end up sliding the right-hand panel into that second die cut. And that holds it in place. Oh, Carrie Ann's made it. Oh, how exciting. I'm so glad that you have, because she was saying that she doesn't typically make fun fold cards, but this is a really fun technique. And I did the same here, but this one's with a heart. So you could use any shape or image. I think I cut this one a little bit wide. I think I mentioned that in the video. It does make it a bit harder to slip in. I probably would have, I don't know, maybe gone about that wide instead if I remade this card. But I haven't, not yet. But see how you can just slip that into the gap, and then that just holds it closed. Isn't it great, Jill? I just love it. Stacey Ann, so question, I love the twist. Did you design it yourself? It's brilliant. Whoever thought of it, thanks for sharing. I agree. No, I'm not that clever. I did not think of it, but I saw it on a video, and I saw it a long while ago, and I wish I had have kept the video, but it's not my idea, and I would have loved to give credit. But if I do find that video again, I will definitely share it in the Facebook group and give them credit. But I think it's been around for a little while, but not many people use that technique, because you kind of have to think a little bit forward about how you're going to design your card. Typically, like the one I shared first, I made this one first, is easier because basically you can put any shape. I used an Alter New Heart here, which is a really pretty shaped heart, and add some flowers from Alex Siberia. But you could put anything on this heart. You could use a circle. You could even, if you don't have any die cuts or a die cutting machine, you could even create your own, just use a rectangle and cut two that are the same size and sit them behind each other. So someone saw it a long time ago too, but forgot about it. Yes, that was me. So Kelly's got a question. What is the most important thing to remember in making the gate itself? So for this particular one here, I find it's easier because it's a shape. Thank you for the kind words too, Kelly. The shape makes it easier. So you need to make sure that it's something that's going to be able to sit over the gate. Typically, a die cut would make it much easier, because then you can simply just cut a second one like I've done. The other thing is to use a nice sort of thick cardstock here. So that I've used the 110 pound. On this one here, because I used not design paper, coloured cardstock, it wasn't quite as heavyweight. For the image on the front, I actually doubled up. I stuck two of this particular one together just to make it a little bit more stable. And the back one is just a single piece of cardstock. But I cut it exactly the same. So having that die cut really makes it easy. But you know what? If you don't and you have fussy cut a flower, you could just as easily get a circle die cut here and just cut a little edge off. And that way you can still use the mechanism. You won't see it behind the flower on this particular one. But choose images that you know are going to be big enough to hide the back. Make sure they're solid, and sort of situate them. I just did, that one's in the center-ish and this one's just lower down. Like you wouldn't want just a small one and really low down on the front of the card. So just think a little bit about what images, what you've got really. It's easier with the die cut. What are my favourite stamps to use? Well, I love Altenew. I've been with Altenew since 2015. So typically flowers make me happy. I do like a critter though, got to say, partial to that. And I have been doing some design work for some of the releases for Alex Siberia. So they have a good combination of some beautiful flowers and critters. So I thought I'd do their flowers today, but they have some cute critter stamps. So yeah, I'll use any company stamps. Spellbinders have the most amazing stuff. I use a lot of their stamps. I've done some work for Penny Black, so I've got a lot of their stuff from not as much of the recent stuff I haven't got, because I just, there's not enough hours in the day. But pretty much anything that makes me happy. I do obviously, if you've got a certain style, you are going to go to a particular company and keep buying from them because you like their stamps. But if I see something from any company that I like, I'm going to get it. I'm not that fussy. Oh, Kelly, can you hear them? Can you hear them now? I've shut the door. Or is it the ones from the videos on YouTube? And I used to say we don't have birds because all the birds that we were heard in the videos are just the wild birds that fly around, because I live in the subtropics and we have a lot of, parrot kind of birds, and they're noisy especially if it's raining. But there's a lot of kookaburras around here, currawongs, magpies. But we do have birds now. We have 5 chickens. So you might hear them talking to each other too. So Cynthia says, I love the way that it overlaps on the other piece and you can cut the border in many different shapes. I agree. It's something that you can look at your stash and recreate with what you've got, so it doesn't have to be flowers, you could do like a circle here and then put some critters on the front, or a fisherman or a boat if you've got, want to make a more masculine design. Susan says, do you worry about the belly bands pulling off the flowers? I would think that could, in something like this, because I've added so much dimension to the front, that is a possibility, especially if the person you're giving the card to doesn't really know how to open it, because, we like to trick them with things like this. But obviously a less dimensional project would be better for that. But one thing I have done on these cards in particular, I've used a lot of liquid glue. I've been using the Belly Arts one. Another great one is the Tombow Mono Multi. They're both awesome glues. And I attached all the main portions that I could with that, and I know that's gonna have a stronger hold than, say, glue tape. I do like tape runners. I use them a lot, but for something that's a movable card like this, probably the liquid glue is going to be better. So good to see you guys here. So Cynthia's asking, have you tried different die cutting machines and do you have a favorite? Okay, yes, I have 3. I have a Big Shot, and I actually killed my first Big Shot. I used it and used it and used it, and it actually wasn't, and the reason it wasn't that it wasn't cutting that I got rid of it. The reason was that I'd started doing hot foiling techniques with a, the foil one that's got to go through the die cutting machine, and also been using the Better Press as well. So I just found my machine was so old, I wasn't getting even results running it through my Big Shot. So I did replace it with another big shot because at the time it was hard to get a lot of the machines here in Australia, and I was really happy with my first one. I think I had it for 12 years or something like that, and it did a lot of work. But I love my electric Gemini. I've got a Gemini Junior, and I do know they've released I think it's a 2 now, and there's so many. Apparently the other one I've got is one of those mini ones. That was actually given to me by Altenew. It's the mini blossom, so it's just one of those. It's about this big, which is great, if you just want to do a couple of small things. So, or if I'm traveling, I might take that one. But I've heard lots of good things about the platinum, and also the Gina K new one appeals to me because you can change the pressure on the side of it, but you can also fold it up. And I do quite a bit of traveling, and I have taken the big shot with me a few times, and it is easy enough to take because I just pack things around it. But I am considering getting the Gina K one. I don't know if anyone's got one. Let me know what you think of it. But because it folds up, I reckon that would be great. Although the Big Shot have a foldable one, but it's quite expensive here in Australia, especially with the conversion rates. So I just make do with what I've got at the moment. Not that I'm doing it tough. I've got 3. Seriously. Lynn's asking, how do you match the gatefold to me? That is my major problem. I usually have a slight line that is not matched. So I was pretty lucky with my measurements and my score lines. They just worked straight away. But if you could actually make it slightly smaller if you wanted to. I don't know if this is going to sound a bit complicated. So if you have your piece cut, this is 8.5 by 5.5 here. What you could actually do is score the next one over, just a 1/8. No, what is 1/16? I'm not an inch girl. I'm metric. Just beside it. Score just beside it instead on each side. So that when you close it, because the only gap that really matters is the one in the middle. You don't want that to be a hole. So you could cheat a little bit if you're not getting good accurate lines, is by scoring in on each side the same distance, so it still closes to the center, and then it will slightly overlap. And if you've got a good trimmer, you can actually just trim one of those back a little bit and still get them to meet each other. But you might just practice with the cardstock that you're using and the trimmer that the trimmer and your score tool, and you'll kind of work out exactly. Or you might be better off not to use a score tool and just do it manually. If you're finding that you're getting inaccurate, you might not be pushing it far enough into the edge. I always make marks pretty much with a pencil. I find I get more accurate than just relying on the measurements on a score tool, so maybe that might help too. Angela's saying she makes her belly band a 1/2 inch wider and then folds it around the card, and she doesn't bother scoring. Yeah, I agree. You can just certainly fold it, and I really like the vellum belly bands, and you can emboss on them too. Carrie Ann, hello. I've been chatting to you before in the Facebook group. What is your favourite medium to use? So at the moment, I'm reaching a lot for watercolours in whatever way. I'll do watercolouring with inks, with watercolour tubes. I've been playing with those lately because Altenew have released some new colours with the pan sets. Even the liquid watercolours are fun. But I would have to say my go-to colouring medium over most of the years that I've been creating, 2005 I started making cards, would have to be initially Copics, but now I use any alcohol markers. I pretty much reach for the Copics. I have most of the artist markers from Altenew as well, and Sketch Marker Pro, I think they're called. They're really nice to use. They have a little bit of a learning curve, but you get a really good result, and the colours are so vibrant. I'm a bright colour girl. Cynthia asks, what paper am I using? If it's too heavy, it will be hard to make the gate fit together, or too light, it will be flimsy. Autocorrect. I hate autocorrect. True. That's going to make a difference to your card. So that's good advice there. Thanks, Cynthia. What else was I going to say? If you are going to try this technique, make sure you do your stamping before you add all the dimension to. It's much easier to stamp before you assemble. Ask me how I know. But the great thing is nowadays we have lovely die-cut words, and we can always die-cut our sentiments out and everything and put them on top after. I'm a late sentiment girl. I always add them last, unless the card is focusing on a sentiment. I always forget. Sheila's got a question. For someone who's never foiled before, which machine would you suggest? If you're talking about regular toner foiling, I used a cheap laminator for years and ended up not doing any foiling because it was very hit and miss, and I was very unhappy with it. I know there are some really good, there's probably a couple. I think Nancy Stamps, who's like the foiling queen, she recommends a couple, I think, that you can get in the US. I'm not sure where you live, Sheila, that people have a lot of success with. If you have got a laminator, definitely try what you've got, but turn it on for a half an hour before you use it and just peel back the corner to see if you're happy with the result. You can always feed it back through if you're not happy. So that there are a couple of things that can help. But for me, I gave up on the cheap laminator that I had. Literally, it was like a $20 laminator. It wasn't a good investment. So I bought one of the Mink machines, and I haven't looked back since I bought that. And I waited for a big sale to come on at our local Spotlight, which is, I think, sounds like it's like the Hobby Lobby that you might have in the US. So, and got it on sale, and it was a game changer. I rarely have any misfoiling at all now because you can adjust the temperatures. It's got a lot more pressure. I hear good things about the Fuse machine from Gina Kay, although I think it's coming to Australia, but it's not here yet. Like with the just with the electrical side of things, we haven't had it here. But the hot foiling is a whole nother ball game. That if you're new to card making, I would not venture down the hot foiling track. First, I'd start with toner foiling, and you can foil without a machine. I actually have a video on my channel. I think it might have been a live that I did. I've also got other videos showing how to foil without a machine. So there are ways of adding foil without. It's not as nice, but still, at least you can buy a little bit of foil. It's like $5 and give it a try and see if you like it before you invest. Oh, you're in Canada. Maybe Ardith can help you. Oh, gosh, that went quick. Oh, it's been so nice talking to you guys. I hope you have fun at the summit. I really hope that you give this technique a try. It would be fabulous to see it if you share it at the group. I would love to see what your take is on this gatefold card with a twist. If you haven't met me before, you can find me. I have a blog at Lost in Paper. I'm on YouTube. I'm also on Pinterest, Instagram, and on Facebook. So join me there. I'd love to see you. It's so nice. Thank you for all your wonderful questions. It's been so nice getting to know you. Until next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.